opposite side, 180 degrees, across the Temple Mount from the Mount of Olives.
Wow.
What does that mean?
Hey,
It means that
opportunity to visit Israel and Jerusalem, and it's one of the weirdest places I've ever been, for sure.
it means that the Knesset is physically opposed to the Mount of Olives. Okay, so that's dead north. There we go. So I'm gonna assume that this is what he meant by the outer court. I'll just draw some little dots around what I think are gonna be the corners, roughly speaking, because the walls are already there. It just takes a second for Discord to load the image. It's pretty high quality. There it goes.
Hi, good evening. Actually, the outer wall, the western wall, is the outer wall of the temple.
So maybe they'll clear out that side on the other side of the western wall and put it there.
Hey, welcome, Tav.
Good evening, all. Good
Hi.
evening. Good evening.
The third temple is not going to be built there. I mean, they would never, ever, Al-Aqsa would never allow such a thing. So in order for it to be agreed to, it's going to have to be somewhere else. Not exactly sure where, but it's going to be bigger. So I don't think it would even fit on the existing Temple Mount. Have any of you been to Israel?
No.
I certainly get politically why you'd say that, but I believe that's what the Bible says, so that's what's going to happen in the face of I think it's going to shock people around the world.
Have you guys heard about
It will be built. It absolutely will be built, but I don't believe they will demolish Al-Aqsa in order to build it.
Oh, no,
they could potentially build it at Shiloh, but I don't think it would fit there. But what's called the Western Wall or the Kotel, is actually what was originally the outer wall of the temple. So when you're talking about that, that's where everybody prays. That's only the outer wall. You cannot get to what was the original temple. You can go underground there and go back down to the level that it was 2,000 years ago, which is actually really interesting. But it is all, it has all been destroyed, and they do they're doing a lot of excavations there, the Arabs, in order to destroy a lot of the stuff that comes out of there, because they are still finding a lot of artifacts.
Yeah, I see videos on it from time to time. They are definitely not going to get rid of the Dome of the Rock, but I do believe in that same little square in that same little area there that they're going to find some space to put their third temple.
Guys, welcome to the live event. We're just going to drop into the Vibes of Cosmos share, if you wouldn't mind, the temple discussion. I'm sitting back myself watching that with bated breath to see how it goes and how it shakes out. So if we can park that maybe for 20 minutes, half an hour, I'm going to launch into this. We are streaming right now as well on both of our channels, my channel as well as our local channel here. And more than anything else, I want to thank all you guys for showing up, coming out, and to check this out. I hope I'm coming through okay with my audio on all fronts.
All green here, Chief.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Now, I'm sharing the YouTube link directly from Vibes of Cosmos, right from their site, or right from their channel, sorry. If you can let me know if their audio is coming through okay when I start in, because I do have to pause it and may have to back up, and if I do that with Google Slides, everything's going to get crazy. So, appreciate you guys as always. Gonna launch in. Let's go.
Is it very low?
Yeah. Perfect. Oh, I can boost
The
mine.
moon and
There
the
we go.
sun.
There you go.
Yeah, pause. Awesome. I can back it up.
Using the method of reverse engineering and with knowledge of electromagnetism, electromagnetic fields, gas ionization, fluid mechanics, dynamics, frequencies, and oscillations, we ended up discovering something important for the starting point of true science research. The moon is a phenomenon of ionization of the ether at a certain high layer due to concentrated
Phenomenon of
cosmic energy
ionization of the
minus, where
ether.
it
I
gets
like it.
concentrated there.
Ionization of the ether.
Phenomenon of the
Descending.
ionization of the ether.
This goes really quickly.
Concentrated
Bear with me.
there.
So you have, this is the transverse section of the closed system. You have the black hole sun. The rays, its projection rays, if you will, go up to the transition point, which is the hole in the middle. They reflect off of the firmament, and then you see the moon in front of you. So you're actually seeing the reflection of those rays as the moon.
This energy
Flat Earth surface, ice walls around the sea,
as it comes from
sea and land,
the bottom up is
North
refracted
Pole,
at the
the
center
dome,
of the field
black
and
sun.
then imprinted below
The moon
on
gets
the moon.
created.
This is a pretty neat animation. I'm gonna have to steal this from them. If anyone's listening, Vibes of Cosmos' stuff will be in the description. Thank you, Vibes of Cosmos.
Yes, their stuff it's on point. We're only a minute in. Moon happens in ionosphere, and it is a plasma phenomenon.
In the ionosphere, don't we have a definite measurement of where that is, though?
Yeah, it's coming up. But the
Oh.
ionosphere, you can see it. This line is actually the ionosphere. So you can see where the moon actually is, where the dome is, and then where the actual plateau is in reference to the ionosphere. Oops.
Imprint layer where it is
These rays of the sun below pass through water, but not from ice and land.
imprinted concentratedly.
After the dome vertically reflects, they become in a moving spot. Sorry for the poor language. The moving focused plasma spot, which is the moon, is moving because the sun below is moving in a 28-day loop circles, changing the diameter of its motion. Now, here's the Earth. Again, this is the moon with colors inverted and changed. The light spots on the moon are the water. The dark spots on the moon are the land. This, in fact, is the reflection of the floor plan that is up in the sky. The toroidal field is this entire dome. So
In this way,
you've got the North Pole here. Can you guys see my cursor?
Yes.
Awesome, thanks, man. So you've got the North Pole here, which would be our center, which goes up to the very tippy top. You would have Polaris, which doesn't move; it only wobbles, moves. I think it's a few hundred kilometers, I believe, but it does not move, so to speak. And then you have the black sun below, which rotates and also goes in a helical up and down coil pattern.
the moon works like the mirrored hologram of the Earth.
So as the black sun rides these rings around and around, and it also goes up and down, the reflections of these rays, think of the Pink Floyd album cover, Dark Side of the Moon, where you have the rays coming in to the prism, and then the rainbow coming out the other side. Roy Gibiv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy Gibiv, the orders of the rainbow, the colors. Also your chakra colors from bottom to top.
The existence of the sun is due to the same phenomenon
I just showed that.
of the Earth. The existence of the sun.
Okay, there we go.
This goes really quick.
Yeah,
Why are they going so quick with it?
because it's shown in their book, and I think that they want to entice people to get them to
gotcha.
right. So I'm probably doing a bit of a
Gotcha.
disservice by explaining
Can I
this at
point
length.
something out?
Please do.
That little red circle in the middle looks to be right about where the Aurora Borealis would be.
Yeah, that's and
Yeah. Good point.
that was one of my one of the things that I found, that the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights, were in fact a capture of this transition point where the the black hole sun's rays are actually illuminating the ether, if you will. So yeah, refraction of light and electromagnetic energy. So you've got Polaris, and again, the interaction of the black sun with Polaris. I call Polaris the disco ball hanging from the center of the room, because disco balls don't carry lights inside of them. They only reflect.
I like
So-
the white sun.
Okay,
What do you think of that, Kiwi?
sure. Oh, what?
The white sun?
Uh,
That's like
Polaris?
Polaris, the white sun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, wow. I hadn't even gone that far. Just because I can't. Here's the thing. Well, I guess I could, because the sun is still a celestial body. But yeah, you can play whichever way you want. I like the idea of the disco ball, because when you shine light at a disco ball, the disco ball spins around and it creates lights. Bottom line, everybody's familiar with it, right? So when you're like, yo, Polaris with the other Polaris with the interaction of the black sun creates the two main celestial bodies, and I'll even go as far as to say it may even create all of the celestial bodies. We don't really know, right? Because these planets, as they're called, they appear to shimmer, so they look like they are reflected light segments.
I like the disco ball sound, because the disco ball isn't the source of the light it reflects, right?
Exactly.
I see that.
It
That's
only
a good
reflects,
comparison.
and it doesn't
So,
need a light source. Sorry, go ahead. Or it's not a light source. Sorry, go ahead.
So if the black sun is below, creating the white sun off the dome, giving us the gray sun that we see. What do you think?
Okay. Sure.
Cool.
Is due to the same phenomenon.
So the sun and the moon positive, negatives, and then you've got the prism above. Okay, I'll stop talking
Except
now.
that the sun constitutes the other cosmic refraction, plus.
What did I say? Glass?
I'll back it up.
This color, as it comes from the bottom up, is refracted at the ceiling of the field and then imprinted below on the moon imprint layer, where it is imprinted concentratedly.
Let's turn on the closed captions.
What's a negative? How would a negative moon?
In this way, the moon works like the mirrored hologram of the Earth. The
What does a
existence
negative
of the
moon
sun
mean?
is due to the same
Destructive
phenomenon,
interference.
except that the sun constitutes the other cosmic refraction, plus.
Destructive interference.
Yep. You know how like sonoluminescence,
Due to the
constructive
source of the
interference?
phenomenon,
So-
the moon
Right,
has the
right.
ability
So
to-
like we have an interference pattern from pattern, right? But like, what's to say that's like not positive, just a positive interference
Well, I
rather than
don't-
negative?
I mean, I don't believe in positive and negative charge as such. It's really just a
Right,
manifestation of
that's-
charge
yeah.
and discharge, right? So if we're saying that the moon and the sun
Exactly.
are positive and negative diffractions of the cosmic energy, we can use a different word and just say that they're what? Reflections, focal points, they're focused energies created from the
yeah,
cosmic
yeah.
energies or whatever. But they
Yeah.
have to be counterbalanced, positive and negative, or charge and discharge, because moon phases are a form of destructive interference where it gets interferes with the sun and wipes out part of the moon.
And that is, I gotta really, I can't wait. There's lots coming.
capture the relief of Earth in live transmission, impression of a material.
No, I'm just
field
saying we
on
should
the
think
ether
about it
with
like
great
different. You know what I
detail,
mean?
giving us the
We don't have to be
possibility
set to word in
observe
certain
the
ways
size
because
of the
that's
Earth,
how they
to
worded it. You know what I mean?
distinguish the continents and oceans, to observe the relief of the ocean floors,
If
to
these
get
are
information
reflections,
about
how
the
can they generate
subsurface,
heat,
to
or in
find
the moon's
energy
case,
points and
cold?
deepest ocean points, which also
Well, that's pretty easy, right? If you
A
there's
reflection can burn you.
there's an example of like in Vegas in the heat in the sun, you can have close your eyes on like the big glass skyscrapers they have there, and if you have the sun reflecting off the glass and hitting you on the other side of your face, the heat from the actual sun on your right side of the face is indistinguishable from the heat on the left side from the reflection. So it seems possible to me.
phenomenon, the moon has the ability to capture the relief of Earth in live transmission, impression of a material field on the ether, with great detail, giving us the possibility to observe there the size of the Earth, to distinguish the continents and oceans,
So it's literally saying the
to
moon is
observe
a
the
live
relief
capture of the
ocean
Earth.
floors, to get information about the subsurface, to find energy points
Bro,
and deepest ocean points.
That means
which
Lemuria is
also correspond to
100%.
the stars
Like
and
it's
constellations,
there.
to find hidden distance on
Okay, so
Atlantis confirmed.
right? Well, dude, we have all these places named, right? They even have a place on this map named the Pleiades, which is named in the Bible. Pleiades, yes, which is also in the eye of Taurus, the bull, the seven sisters. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Australia, right here. And then this would be Lemuria. And then this would be the Americas. So you've got North America, South America, and the Caribbean Strait. Then you come up here, and this is Eurasia. And then over here would be the motherland, Africa. So this is the moon itself. Now, everybody's talking about the ice wall. The ice wall, the ice wall, the ice wall. Well, this is all frozen tundra. This black area here is all frozen tundra. Oops.
nearby continents.
Oopsies. All frozen tundra. So myself, I'm thinking, why should we go hang out in the frozen tundra? Because this is a lot. Like, if this is the size of Australia, or this is Australia, can you imagine trekking all the way through this frozen tundra? It'd be impossible, right? So why don't we go over here? We should go over to the very southern tippy tip of Australia and see what we can see. Because we got two things happening off this area here. Number one, it ain't cold. Number two, the water is actually water and not ice. And actually my last point, number three, or 2B, part B to my second point, is what's containing this water. This is the interesting point, because this would be the quote unquote edge of the perhaps meniscus, the edge of the containment unit that we're in. But yeah.
And generally to study geography, physics, and cosmology from this point of view.
So over distance, you invert. You have to flip it over because over the distance from here to the moon, the image gets inverted. Then they again, like I was saying earlier, take the dark spots, convert it to land, and take the light spots, convert it to water.
Where's the Pleiades on this model?
I'm gonna have to get. I think, oh, man, memory serves me correctly. It's over here. And this, I think one of these, this area here, I believe. I have to look at the, they have a political, or not a political, but they have a map where all this stuff's named on Vibes of Cosmos. I'll have to look for it and throw it your way, man.
Yeah, that's really important to me.
Yep.
So how far off the coast of Australia were you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, so if this is Australia here, well, no, it is Australia. This is Australia here. This is New Zealand over here.
And you've got Tasmania below Australia.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. If we could get anywhere in this area here and then like launch like a Go Fast rocket off that, bro, because the thing is, the Go Fast rocket would get the altitude and it would invoke the spin. So we would get a 360-degree view of what that area actually looks like, which would be super
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be clutch.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, let's go explore the ice. No, man, that is the art of deception. Look that way when you should be looking that way. I'm telling you, Australia is key. Or our friends in Australia, New Zealand, and Tasmanian Strait. Because the other thing is that I have it on my channel, that big boat, when those fishermen went towards, I think it was like the 49th parallel or something like that, that big military vessel came into play and told them to turn around.
I was thinking that.
Right?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
The movement of the sun and moon led us to the cause of their creation. The phases of the moon have revealed to us the moon projection limits which the existence of the sun places. We have seen that there is a direct connection between the phase of the moon is in and how far ahead or behind it is from the sun in the constellations in the spiral path.
Oh.
Here we go. Here we go.
When we have a new moon, the sun and the moon appear in the same constellation.
Okay, so constellations. Last episode we were talking about the different signs, where they fall, how they align with the sun and the moon. Well, folks, we're about to really see it. I'll try to be quick with the spacebar.
Constellation.
Top is Aries.
As the moon is going to be full
Yes, sir.
in this half, sun and moon are 3 constellations apart. At full moon we have 6 constellations difference, and when it is going to be empty and is half, 9 constellations difference.
Okay,
They literally use Mario.
Is that one
Here we go.
Continues.
Yeah, that's Mario
So-
1. Yeah, sorry.
you have, again, so the moon is disfigured, right? It's more of an oblong shape. But this is the reflection of the surface. So we're down here on the surface, right? We're looking up, we see the moon in its full 360-degree view. However, now we're looking at it in elevation so that we can understand the supermoon area and the submoon area. That means the moon, the area beneath the moon.
And studied observation of the face of the moon has led us to the conclusion that the moon is the hologramic.
Okay, so we have the exosphere, and as earlier, Shane, you're asking about the ionosphere, which is there. Then you have the thermosphere, the heterosphere, the mesosphere, the stratosphere, the homosphere, and the troposphere.
Cosmic
No homo.
concentration.
No homo. And then you've got the distances. I'm not going to read them out to you, but you have the distances listed. Now, here comes the interesting part. Y'all laughed at me when I talked about, no, I don't think you guys did, but people laughed at me when I talked about this idea earlier.
Trade is
Or prior.
reflection of the Earth, shaped like a
So you've got the ignitions zone. Okay, this is key. The ignitions zone and the falling stars zone.
lens, which is formed at the end of the material field border.
Right, now you have the temperatures listed. Temperature in the ignitions and falling stars zone is 1200 degrees Celsius. Then you've got 1000 to 1200 and so on and so forth, all the way down to our range as we know here directly on the surface. Now, the idea of shooting stars, comets, asteroids, all these different things, I theorize and suspect that they are nothing more than literally sideways fireworks, ignition type gases that are igniting, that are streaking through this area here in the ignition zone. Because that's where flammable objects can occur in the atmosphere. I call it the atmosphere. I'll explain why later.
Entering the ether at the boundary of the ionosphere with the ether. Determining the rotation of the moon around its center for an observer during its course.
This is kind of
through each
trippy.
lunar day, and with knowledge of dynamics of motions and impressions, we divided the face of the moon into axes, and in this way we can use it as a compass. Also, the above confirmation, and by experimental means, also proves the correctness of the concept. Studying the speed of the sun and the moon, we concluded that it is the new moon that causes the eclipse of the sun when they are at the same latitude. The conical refractions that create the sun and the moon when they are entangled shape create the phases of the moon, while when they are opposite and not entangled, we have a full moon. When the refraction that causes the sun is exactly opposite that of the sun and at the same latitude, we also have a lunar eclipse.
Are we talking lunar eclipses?
Yeah,
Isn't there supposed to be an eclipse coming up soon?
I think so.
Each
Like on
lunar
the
day
8th?
lasts 24 hours and 50 to 52 minutes, and during this time, the moon makes a complete circle in the component of the circular motion in its total spiral motion.
Okay, now, hold up.
Yo, that looks like the German moon map.
Each
Yup.
lunar day lasts 24
Its
hours.
lunar day
and
lasts
50 to
24 hours.
52 minutes, and during this time, the moon makes a complete circle in the component of the circular motion in its total spiral motion.
Okay. This is the part that I wanted to show you guys. Bear with me. Okay. So you can see the sun here start to poke out. Pay attention to how this whole thing works. It's pretty cool. Sun starts to come out.
For this
The
reason,
moon
every
starts
day
to
the
come
moon
out
lasts
of the
50 to
sun's direct path.
2 minutes behind the sun. We have a new moon every 29.6 days, while
And when it's at basically full opposition to the moon
That's
is
when it's
full.
brightest.
Exactly, when it's
Yeah.
at full opposition. Right? And again, this is like the perfect image for everybody to look at, to please take in. Look at where the sun is over. It's above Africa. This is how daylight works. And when the sun moves, it goes to a different place and it lights a different segment. No, the sun cannot light the entire plateau. It can't light the entire plate. So when globers throw that bullshit in your face, right, the first thing that should come back is time zones. You can literally say time zones dictate the sun moves above the plateau because it's 12 o'clock somewhere, literally. And we're going to talk about that later on in this too. But time zones literally prove the sun moves above the earth.
in a year we have 13 moons. The Prague astronomical clock
You guys see this, right? You've got a light rotating above a tabletop, and that light can only light one segment of the tabletop at a time. Right? We're getting it? We're good? Alright, cool.
Spotlight
And
sun,
the
got it.
Antikythera mechanism verify the model.
Sure.
5 o'clock Sunday.
And then the sun,
Proves
sorry, the moon
time's
goes.
made up too.
Say what?
I said it proves time's a man-made construct.
That's right.
Well, yeah, it's just 12 o'clock wherever the sun is.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well,
But they
look,
made that up. Who made up at 12 o'clock, right?
Well, they
It's
made
just
up the
daylight.
equation. They made
Yeah.
up the equation of time to account for sidereal differentiation between solar different, like whatever.
Exactly. Okay,
the
sorry.
luminaries were made to distinguish our times and seasons.
Yep. Yep. The moon to tell the
That's
months,
why,
the sun to tell the.
Like, if the sky is a big clock, then is time a construct?
Oceanographia, stars.
Okay. Here comes the part.
Oceanograph.
Yeah. So the oceanograph that shows the star alignments as well. Guys, take your time. Don't get down on yourself if you don't get this yet, because it's a crazy concept to get.
Studying oceanography from the map of the moon, we found that the points of the oceans characterized as super deep, as well as other energy points of the Earth, align with the constellations and generally the stars in the celestial electromagnetic dome. Essentially, there is an imprinting of these points in the etheric field above. This happens a layer above that where the sun and moon are created.
That's what I saw when I was explaining that to you, Shane. Remember?
Whoa.
Yes, that's what I saw when I was trying to explain to you in that video. That's what I was trying to fucking explain to you.
All right. All right.
The
Hold on.
imprint
Let's
here
go.
is simple proportional and not concentrated as in that of the moon.
Andromeda, Cassiopeia,
Follow
Gemini,
the drinking gourd.
Taurus, Aries, Andromeda.
Oh, this is what I
Cephas,
want to know. Where's
Draco.
the Eye of Taurus and the Pleiades? Where would they be here?
Bro, I have to look for it, man. I have to look for it. If it comes up, I'll definitely show it up. You know the Subaru logo, the 7 stars?
Well, there's Taurus, like in the middle, just to the right of the middle.
Bro. Oh, yeah. So it would be at the tippy top, up here,
So
I think.
the last description. Oh, I have myself muted. The last description Vibes of Cosmos put out about the stars is on the top of the ceiling of our toroidal field, the black sun's electromagnetic field creates the stars as reflections of the great depths and energy spots of Earth. And this is their exact depiction of that. That is neat.
Can't believe this. This is making me nuts right now.
Yay! I love when stuff that I share makes people think.
So in the electromagnetic dome on
Stuff
this
gets
layer,
created.
we can see again the map of the Earth if we match each star with each energetic point that causes it. In this case,
Leo
we see a
minor.
part of the total map, almost half, on the entire celestial electromagnetic dome in the starprint layer.
Ursa Major. Ursa Minor. Bro. That's insane.
The only I was gonna say the only problem I have with this is that it has the constellations over areas of the Earth that we can't travel and see ever. Right? That whole left is unpassable to us. We can only the known world is like the lower right hand quadrant, essentially.
Look at those 2 energy points. 1, 2. That's crazy.
But like how can the stars be over areas we can't see them? If we already have them mapped, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Unless that whole thing rotates and that's how we get the precession of the equinox, sort of. But that doesn't really make sense. I don't know. Let's see.
Celestial
If the image
phenomena.
is at an angle, Shane, that might account for it.
By dissecting space
Okay.
and knowing the properties
shared
of the
something
ionosphere we explained
that
shooting stars,
explains
comets,
that,
meteors, the
Shane.
northern
You shared something the other day that explained it. I watched it today. You
Hmm.
shared the okay, no, you're doing a show on it, the philosophy, and you linked a channel,
Yep.
that philosophy, flat earth philosophy show you're gonna do. You linked the channel, right? I
Yeah.
watched a video today that explained that thing right there that you're just saying, like how the stars would move and freaking they fold. He said they fold back into the toroidal field or something. It was crazy. I was like, what are you saying, sir?
Well, Jackie, that guy's coming here on Thursday to talk to us, so we should write these questions down and literally present them to him in a couple days. You should come for that.
Oh, that guy's coming.
That guy, yeah.
Oh, I watched the video today and he was talking about the stars moving. Like when he said that, I was like, what did he just say?
Yeah, we're
And
gonna
we
have
just
to ask
asked
him.
that question and I was like, how? But in my like, but if it does what he said it does, then that answers your question. So yeah, you should ask him too.
Absolutely.
Yo,
Obviously.
I just
Yeah.
realized 1,000 Crypto Keys is here. That's crazy. I saw him in the
Who?
list. Shout out to Crypto Keys, one of the guys in our community, man, hanging out.
Of the ionosphere.
So
will
this is
expand-
the Northern Lights that I want to talk to you guys about, and the idea of the flammable portion of the atmosphere.
shooting stars, comets, meteors, the northern lights, starbursts, and black holes.
So what are the images they
Shooting
showed here?
stars, comets, meteors, the northern lights, starbursts, and black holes.
An idea of rubbing alcohol left out on the sidewalk. It evaporates, right? We know this. Rubbing alcohol evaporates if it's left out in the atmosphere. But where do those gases go? Well, imagine those gases go all the way up and they hit that 1200 centigrade layer and they become flammable. And all of a sudden you have a shooting star, right? A cup of rubbing alcohol becoming a shooting star.
As we have in the homosphere the weather phenomena that benefit the water
Boom.
cycle,
Sideways
so we have in
firework.
the
That's it.
heterosphere,
That's all it is.
specifically at its
They ain't no
upper level
rocks.
in the ionosphere,
Flying rocks.
the phenomena that benefit the cycle of noble gases
Okay.
and fumes.
Wow.
All the above phenomena are essentially burning and saturation of fumes at the level of the ionosphere.
He thinks the stars are burning in the ion.
Depending on the height at which this
It's all the
happens,
temperatures,
the
right?
size and
They go up
composition of the
exponentially
fume cloud,
with
and the
elevation.
type of saturation or combustions, meteorites, comets, star showers, black holes, exploding stars, etc., are created respectively.
Book of Enoch, it talks about the stars and the wind and things like that coming in through portals in
Yep.
The
heaven.
northern lights
Yep.
is the electromagnetic
So heaven is above, not below.
Yep. This is the part on the Northern Lights that gives it the best explanation, better than my ether explanation.
The northern lights is the electromagnetic imprint of the currents of the ionosphere because there, the ionization directly receives the energy from below from the magnetic north.
Right, so it receives the energy from below, i.e. the black sun, calling it magnetic north because that's where the transition point is, and the northern lights are a visible representation of that transition. Here comes the
The center
mathematics
and
of
the
it.
big cycle. The center of the moon
That's the Prague clock right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
is not
hoping
the
for that.
magnetic north. It is the big cycle.
There it is.
The center of the moon is not the magnetic.
And that's the North Pole,
Hyperborea.
Hyperborea.
The four islands there, yeah.
North. It is the center where the magnetic north
Earth in 2100 years from now, right? So it's this idea that the pole is rotating.
moves with the radius around it.
4200 years, so you can see where the dark, that would be the livable area, the rest would be frozen tundra, right? So as this moves, it rotates around. So I'll back this up just for clarity's sake. So again, here, this is where we are now, right? You have the Americas, you have Australia, you have Lemuria, you have Eurasia, you have the motherland, Africa. And yeah, Africa is called the motherland because it's the biggest plateau. Surprise, mother chucker.
It could also be because it was within the cycle of the Great Clock, right? It would have been the first lands.
Yep. Well stated. Yes. Well stated indeed.
Exactly.
Cycle. The center of the moon is not the magnetic north. It is the center where the magnetic north moves with the radius around it. This is the so-called Great Circle, which makes one complete circle every 26,000 years.
The great year.
Then a great month, 2160 years.
The existence of the great circle that magnetic north makes transformed the Earth as a living organism that ages but also regenerates.
Dude.
The Ouroboros eating its own tail.
Right?
Planets.
Here we go.
The word planet comes from the Greek word plani, which means apparent deception.
You hear that? You hear that? Let's play it again. Play it one more time.
Planets. The word planet comes from the Greek word plani, which means apparent deception. The planets are not material bodies.
Apparent deception.
That's funny. That's great.
Nor they are where we see them. What we see and call planets, which have their own orbits and not like the stars of the dome which follow the rotation of the etheric field which surrounds us, are in essence impressions of fields containing one within the other, each one on its ceiling. These two fields together are contained within the field of Mars, which in turn is contained and rotates within the huge field of Jupiter. Jupiter, along with its energy field satellites, are included in the field of Saturn, which is in the field of Uranus.
All seeing eye.
The divergent movement of the smaller fields within the larger fields causes their imprints to move on their own trajectory with each imprinting on the respective ceiling of their field. This is how a different observed complex motion is created for each field planet imprint. These movements
You mean
can be seen
retrograde?
in the geocentric model and in essence show how each smaller field behaves within the larger one that is located.
This is like Witsit says, that everything's toroidal fields, meaning that each
The
planet
outer
is a
fields
top and a half
seem to have swallowed the
corresponding.
movement of the inner ones, only that they also have their own movement.
A bright yellow star.
That's right. Everything has an up and a down within its own
Sun's and
layer.
moon's altitude.
As above, so below.
7 layers.
So each so-called planet would be basically
By
the
using
convergence
solar
of the
angles of
toroidal
distance
field.
per
Yes.
latitude and per season, we can calculate the height.
Ooh,
at
they
which the
both
sun
represent
is
like the
located.
north and south hemisphere of a course. I don't know. I was kind of speculating.
Yeah,
Okay, I was going off of what you just speculated.
because the moon, like, I think the creation of all these things are some form of a plasma, a refracted light segment. And I believe that these, or based on their description, all of these planets align, like when the planets are in alignment, they're all literally like aligned holes. So imagine like you've got, I think it would be it's a poor description, but it's the only way that I can describe it to try to phrase it the way I need to. Imagine you have 7 shells or 7 of those Russian dolls, and they all had a hole in them. When the planets are aligned, all those holes are perfectly aligned. And that black hole sun is actually going right through all 7 of them, straight through.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah, I get that.
Okay, cool.
At the equinox, the sun
Oh,
passes directly
okay.
above
This
the
is
equator, at which
the
sun
altitude
is
of the
per
sun.
latitude and per
So good.
By using the solar angles of incidence per latitude and per season, we can calculate the height at which the sun is located. At the equinox, the sun passes directly above the equator. The angle of incidence for the most meridian moment is 90 degrees. At the same time, for example, in the circle of Capricorn, which circle is 2,500 km from the equator, at a point with the same geographic height as this point of the equator that we said before, the angle of incidence is equal to 90 minus 30 equals 60 degrees. Thus, a right triangle is created, whose angles we know as well as the lower vertical side, which is equal to the distance of the 2 circles of latitude and, in our example, equal to 2,500 kilometers.
So good.
Taking the tangent law, we can solve for the other vertical side for the triangle, which is the height of the sun. We find this height 5,500.
What do they always say, guys? It's a tangential relationship. Look at the formula. 10 degrees. That is 10, and you got
Yeah,
the
but
height of what?
they're just
Sorry.
they're just using the same thing that people used to say it was 3,100 miles. They're using the same metrics with different baselines. It's still implying that we see in perfect Euclidean geometry and not hyperbolic curved visual space, which is weird.
Right, but
whatever.
The idea that is in fact a tangential relationship, understanding what a tangential relationship is, SOHCAHTOA, tan over, which is 10 is equal to the opposite, which would be the height of the sun, right? The opposite. And x would be the baseline going out to your known point. So yes, it's a tangential relationship, but understand that you need 3 straight line segments and 3 interior angles all adding up to 180 degrees in order for this to work, which is why the plane is not a sphere.
100 kilometers. Examining the shadowing caused by the moon depending on the circle it makes leads us to conclude that if we express the frequency of its movement in the circles of latitude, it causes the same angles of incidence with the moonlight as those of the sun passing through the corresponding circles. Thus we conclude that the moon is also approximately at the same height as the sun, slightly lower.
So what was it? 6,000 kilometers?
Yeah, 60.
The same corresponding circles of frequency depending on the circle it makes leads us to conclude that
6,000 kilometers.
If we express the frequency of its movement in the circles of latitude, it causes the same angles of incidence with the moonlight as those of the sun passing through the corresponding circles. Thus we conclude that the moon is also approximately at the same height as the sun, slightly lower. Stars regions and black sun coil.
Holy crap. They cover so much in these 20 minutes. Holy. Remember this image, Shane?
The electromagnetic dome, where the stars are captured, is divided into the inner region, where it is observed from northern places of the Earth, and the outer region, where it is observed clearly from far southern Earth's places. We don't see all the layer of the star's imprints because of the perspective of the horizon for how high they are. In the inner region, the stars move converged towards the north.
All right, I have to say, you guys know using her formula for height of the sun, you get multiple conflicting heights of the sun, right?
Yeah, it's an apparent sun, Kool-Aid.
Right, and how many suns are there?
Just hold on. Let's finish the presentation before we start ratting on it.
Thanks, Flack. Shout out to you, my guy.
Yeah, he's coming along
outside
nicely.
the bounds of the lower cosmic ray circle.
Proud of
and so their paths appear to diverge due to the dynamics of the source's motion. Accordingly, as we know, the stars that are within the lower cosmic energy circle converge towards the north due to the geometry of the source dynamics. The moving source that causes the cosmic energy working like a Tesla coil, depending on where the center of excitation is, creates different angles every moment, making the constellations rotate around the pole star at a certain speed.
15 degrees per hour.
It also captures the sun and the moon in different positions so that we also have their movement with different relative speeds. These movements are described in the Antikythera mechanism. As the source moves spirally in n spirals, it creates every moment different conditions of incidence of the cosmic radiation from bottom to top. The diameter d of the spiral of the black sun has a certain length much smaller than the diameter of the Earth. If we consider that the stars are imprints of points on the Earth itself, we divide the Earth, and thus the stars, into two regions. In that which is within the diameter of the downward spiral movement of the black sun, and in that which is outside. The first captures stars converging towards the north, while the second diverges.
I love this. You've got the idea of Polaris up here, and as you work your way out to the equator, you get more of a linear star trail.
Yeah, the equatorial celestial star trails are cool.
Exactly. The barrel, as I call it.
Dude, they just flew through all those slides. Whatever.
Oh, dude, they
Five to
nailed it.
Cosmos.
Like, they're like buy our book.
Bro,
Bro,
30 slides at one fire book. Yeah.
It's spot on in terms of like the design, the understanding of how it works. You know, the firmament, like everything's explained.
Well,
I love it.
Well,
What?
I'm still with Shane on the constellation thing. I'm with him on that one.
So it seems that they're implying there's two physical sets of stars counter-rotating like Dave insinuates. But I
Okay,
don't agree with that. I don't think...
Sorry, go ahead. Pause.
Did you have an interruption? Go ahead, dude.
No, I was
Good show.
gonna end the stream and then open up the floor. Please go ahead, because I'm curious to
all right.
hear what you have on that.
Well, so I don't think there's only one rotation. There's only one set of stars, so to speak, and that your optical, perception actually makes it rotate around the counter convergence point. So they're implying maybe that's not the case, but maybe we should get them in here and talk to them and see if we can't come to some understanding, because it's possible they have a lot right and some of it could be flawed.
Friends, thank you so very much for being here. I appreciate you guys as always. And there's another stream over here at the Book of Killian Weeks on YouTube. So very glad you guys were able to come by and hang out. Appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Be well.
Key, we can ask.